Temurah Daf Yudalid. So my travels bringing me to Chutz La'aretz. My first stop is here, Lawrence, New York. Looking for a spot to record this year, I found a beautiful spot right in my Mechutanim's bedroom. So the Mishnah says as follows. There's a difference between a carbon that an individual brings and a carbon that the tzibur brings. Difference number one is that a carbon that the individual brings, you can do temurah to it. That's our Masechta. Masechta Temurah is only to individual carbon, not a carbon of a tzibur. Carbon of a yachid could be a male and a female, zachar and a keva. Oila is usually a zachar, but there's a case where oila is a keva. When you bring a bird, there's no differentiation between a zachar and a keva when it comes to a bird. Chatas is usually on a keva, but once in a while you bring a zachar when you have the sar of a nasi. And shlamim could be either zachar and a keva. But when it comes to a communal carbon, it's always a zachar. Now, if there's zman kavua, there's a specific time that a person has to bring a carbon, like a yoledes, a woman that gives birth, or a mitzayra. If you don't bring the carbon on time, you have to bring it later on. But when it comes to a communal carbon, if they don't bring it on the time that they're supposed to bring it, avar zmanoi batal karbana. Once the time goes, they lost out. Now, if you bring a carbon and you forget to bring the nesachim, so that you do have a chiyuv to bring the nesachim at a later date. What's special about a tzibur, carbon tzibur, that a carbon yachid doesn't have? That is, carbon tzibur could be doicha Shabbos, pushes off Shabbos, and tumah. According to Rameir, it's not so much the tzibur, but it's the fact that there's a zman kavua. Any carbon that has a specific time that has to come pushes off Shabbos and pushes off tumah. How do we know this halacha that by a communal carbon, if you don't bring it on time, you don't bring it later on? There's two ways to learn. Either because it says in the pasuk, Dvar Yayim b'Yayimai, that there's that specific day the carbon musaf is kosher, but after that day it's no good. And the other way to learn it, Rish Lakish says, it says, Milvad Shapsis Hashem, the following pasuk. And the Gemara says there's a tzrichusa why you would need both psukim. If I only had one, I would think you could only bring it the following day or the following night. Can you bring the nesachim of wine at night? So we have two brises. It seems to be a contradiction. One brisa says you could be makriv wine at night, and one brisa says you can't. So what do we do? So the Gemara gives us a few options. According to Rami Bar Chama, you cannot bring wine at night, but you could be magdish the wine at night. And the brisa says you can be makriv. The brisa means to say you can be magdish the wine, but you can't actually put it on the mizbech. Rava says no. If you can be magdish something, then automatically that means you can be makriv. Rav Yosef says that in fact you could be makriv wine at night, and the brisa says you can't. We have to erase that part of the brisa. And Rav Dimi says depends. If it's wine that comes on its own, then you can be makriv at night. But if it's wine that comes with a carbon, that wine you have to be makriv like the carbon during the day. Are you allowed to write Torah Shebal Peh? Are you allowed to write it down? Are you allowed to read it from a Gemara? Says the Gemara, in fact, there's two psukim. On the one hand, it seems from the pasuk that you write down Torah. On the other hand, it seems like you don't write Torah. You say Bal Peh. And the answer is that Torah Shebeksav you must write, and you can't say Bal Peh. But Torah Shebal Peh, such as the Gemara, you only say Bal Peh and you don't write it down. In fact, the Gemara says if you write down halachas of Torah Shebal Peh, it's as if you're burning Torah. And if you read Torah Shebal Peh from within a sefer, says the Gemara, you don't get any sechar. So what do we do with what we do today? So the Gemara says, when there's a concept called Eis Lasis Lashem Efer Torah Secha. Sometimes you have to break the rules of the Torah in order to upkeep the Torah. So that's why the Gemara brings a story where the Gemara, the Amar said, I want to write a letter, I want to write the Torah Shebal Peh because it was Eis Lasis Lashem Efer Torah Secha, and that's the famous reason why Rebbe wrote it down. And today we have a Gemara because Eis Lasis Lashem Efer Torah Secha. The Gemara says you're allowed to write down a new thing, so people don't forget. The Gemara brings down that Rabbi Yochanan Shlokish, they would look into Haggadata on Shabbos and Yontif in order to remember, in order to give over drushes. The Gemara says, what are you allowed to bring in terms of a carbon on Yontif? The Gemara darshans, Elu Tazal Hashem b'Me'adechem. These are the carbonas that have a chayva because of Yontif itself, such as the Ilas Riyah, Chagiga, and Musafim. And the other carbonas, is referring to Korbanos, the Nedarim and Nedavis, they bring a Chalamayit. The Oilos is the Oilo Yeledes, and Mechoseichem is a Mechasoitim, Mechasoita, the Skem Shalmechem is a Hekesh and Sachem Shlamim that are Karev only during the day. Shalmechem, says the Gemara, according to Rav Dimi, comes to include the Shalmei Nazir, and according to Abaya, the Shalmei Pesach. And with that, we'll be Messiahing today's Shir. Be'ezer Hashem, we'll see you tomorrow.